The body-on-frame three-row SUV market has changed quite a bit over the last decade, where for one, a lot of manufacturers are dropping V8s for twin-turbo V6s, which some of you might actually really be enjoying right now with some of the competitors that are in this class. But if you're someone looking for a larger engine, a larger displacement, well, you're in luck here with the Chevrolet Tahoe because you still get a V8, but it goes even further than that. You can go with a Duramax diesel. You can go with a 6.2-liter V8. You can have some options here that a lot of manufacturers are not going to be offering you in 2026. Well, in today's video, we're going to check out what the Chevrolet Tahoe Z71 has to offer us. That this is no longer just your typical body-on-frame SUV for you and your family. It can now be really fun here and off-road worthy and adventurous. And in today's video, we're going to check out what the Z71 has to offer us. We're going to check out the exterior, the interior, take it out for a quick test drive, and see why, if you're looking at buying a body-on-frame SUV right now, but you also want an SUV that isn't going to be one-dimensional, then maybe taking a look at the Z71 might be a great decision. Now, before we get in this video, I want to give a huge shout and thank you to Copeland Chevrolet in Hudson, Massachusetts for letting me come down here to check out the Z71. Their link will be in the description below, so you can check out their extensive Chevrolet inventory. So as always, let's begin with that pricing. For the 2026 Chevrolet Tahoe Z71, you're looking at a starting cost of right around $73,000. Now, our model does have about $4,000 worth of options. We'll talk about that when we check out the interior. Now, this will be right in line with the Ford Expedition Tremor and also about $4,000 to $5,000 more affordable than a GMC Yukon AT4. The big difference here, though, with the Tahoe compared to what you're going to find out of Toyota, Lexus, Land Rover, and many others in this oversaturated class, is that with the Tahoe, you do have some customizability here. So like I said before, you have different engine options. You can go with a 5.3, which comes standard, the 6.2, and the 3-liter Duramax. There's not a lot of manufacturers offering diesel options here in this class right now, so Chevrolet is giving you a better buying experience, in my opinion. Also with the Tahoe, you do have the ability to go with a vehicle that's going to be a bit more spacious and practical, and if you don't think the Tahoe is good enough for you, you can go with a suburban Z71, whereas with that Ford Expedition Tremor, it's only for the smaller wheelbase. So you got to keep all of this in mind. What I also like too here with the Chevrolet Tahoe is that it doesn't feel overly expensive here in this market, because with the body-on-frame SUVs, they are getting very pricey here. But at around $73,000, I think that's very doable, and at least right now, seems pretty reasonable in this market. As we take a look at the aesthetics for the Z71, its unique design is what really draws me in here. You have the LED headlights and the LED fog lights for better visibility at night or in adverse weather conditions. You also have this gloss black front grille with the Z71 badge. Love to see that there. For the lower portion of the front bumper, you're going to have this chrome look and red tow hooks. So when you're on those trails and maybe you find a Toyota driver or a Ford driver stuck in the mud, you can tow them out. You also are going to have a higher approach angle. So when you are encountering the off-road, maybe some deep snow or mud, you'll be able to take on those terrains and those elements to get you to your destination. It's this higher ground clearance, it's this lifted bumper that gives this SUV such a rugged look and also a unique look as well. As you take a look at the side profile, with the Z71 we have today, you are going to have 20-inch alloy wheels wrapped in all-terrain tires. Now, one thing that's really interesting here about this SUV is that with the all-terrain tires, it doesn't make that much of a difference to the ride quality. We'll talk about that later on during the test drive. And then as you continue on, you are going to have running boards here for easy access into the cab of the Tahoe, whether you're sitting in the second or first row. You're also going to have that Tahoe badge here in gloss black, matching the aesthetics up front. You're going to have body color match side mirror caps with turn signal indicators to go along with blind spot detection for added safety. You're also going to have some gloss black roof rails as well. I love the two-tone look for this model. Then as you make your way around to the back, you're going to have full LED taillights here, very classy and upscale. We saw that with the Suburban. You're going to have a blacked out badge here for the Tahoe and also Chevrolet emblem, really nice. And then for the lower portion of the rear bumper, you have the quad exhaust tips, reminding you this is going to be a V8. And take a listen here. Love that rumble, love that idle. And you got some more gloss black trim here to round out the overall look of this SUV. But I really think that what Chevrolet has done here with the Z71 is they've given this model some unique characteristics, a design that really is going to draw your attention, and in some ways looks very much like the GMC Yukon, which does share platforms and overall design. But for an SUV here coming in under $80,000, I think they've done a really good job. But let me know what you think in the comment section below. Powering our Z71 is going to be a 5.3-liter V8 engine, producing 355 horsepower and 383 pound-feet of torque. It is paired with a 10-speed automatic transmission. As I mentioned before, you can go with the 6.2, you can go with that 3-liter Duramax. I'll leave those power figures on the screen, so that way you can compare and contrast and see which one might be the better choice for you. Obviously, we are going to have all-wheel drive, or should I say four-wheel drive here for this model for better year-round capability and versatility. But then we got to get to the fuel economy here, and you guys know that yes, it's a body frame SUV, so you know it's not going to be the best here when it comes to efficiency, but you're looking at right around 15 miles per gallon in the city and 19 miles per gallon on the highway. Not the best in this class, not the worst, falls right in line with many vehicles with a similar powertrain. So if you're looking for a vehicle that's going to be fun and exciting, just keep in mind that that fun will come at a bit of an expense. As we check out the interior for our Z71, we have to dive right into the packages that we have here for our model, because what you see isn't standard equipment, and in my opinion these packages elevates the overall ownership and driving experience for this vehicle. So for $2,260 through the comfort package, you are going to receive a plethora of options here, mostly for the interior, but there is some exterior features that I think really brings a lot of character and class to this SUV. So for the interior, you're going to have a memory driver's seat, heated steering wheel, second row outboard heated seats, also the third row power folding bench seats, which is really great to see. You can have the Bose audio system to amplify the audio of your favorite music. Then you're going to have your LED animated headlamps and tail lamps, and then to round out the exterior, outside heated power adjustable power folding and driver side auto dimming mirrors with integrated turn signal indicators. So this is all really good stuff here for the Z71. And then on top of all of this, we also have that sunroof package giving us the panoramic moonroof here, which brings in a lot of natural light to the interior. And then doubling down on the features and packages that we have here equipped for this vehicle, up front you are going to receive power adjustable heated leather trim seats for both the driver and passenger. I will say the comfort and support is really nice, but the bolstering, I would love to see it become a bit more aggressive in future model years. Also maybe a Z71 badge on the seats, but maybe that's just a bit too adventurous here out of the Tahoe. In front of you will be a leather wrapped steering wheel. It feels really nice in the hands. No aggressive 10-2 or firm 9-3 grips. It is heated, which is a welcoming touch here for this model on a cold day like today. In front of you will be a full digital gauge cluster. We have seen this in a number of different Chevrolet products. I was hoping that for the Tahoe and also Suburban, with them being the flagships in the lineup, that we would get a different display, but unfortunately that just isn't the case. Now you can scroll through different layouts here and customize this screen to your liking. For me though, I would just have the map display up at all times. It gives you more of a futuristic experience, but then also you're not looking at that infotainment system, so you're focusing on the road ahead of you. And speaking of that infotainment system, you're going to have this large touchscreen with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto compatibility, also the Bose audio system for our model. And with this infotainment system, you are going to have Google integration, providing Google Assistant, Google Play Store, and Google Maps. We have seen this numerous times from Chevrolet. But what we haven't seen, though, is that we are going to have physical buttons and dials still for your dual zone climate control, front and rear defrosters, and then fan speed. Unfortunately, everything else is going to be accessed on this screen. Now, you're going to have all these widgets in place here, well within arm's reach for your vehicle status, My Chevrolet, Google Assistant, Google Play Store, climate, Wi-Fi hotspot. It is all right here. We've gone over this numerous times. At the top of the screen will be more quick access icons for your home screen, but then also a more minimal layout here where you can display the Google Maps and then also add some information such as your audio and trip information as well. Then you will have more safety and controls here for your child safety locks, your camera systems, auto park assist, and then your rear automatic braking. You can also scroll through more information from this screen as well. Then, of course, your radio, your navigation, and then your Bluetooth smartphone connectivity. So, very straightforward stuff here. What I like, though, is that with the Z71 we have here today, we have a top view camera and a rear backup camera with trajectory. Love to see that, especially if you are backing into tight spots or parking on a city street, considering that this vehicle is rather wide and large. So you're going to have a lot of visibility here, a lot of safety, and there is some side views as well, so you're not scraping those 20-inch alloys. As we continue on towards the center console, beneath the screen, you're going to notice this nice strip of wood grain trim. Love to see it. Nice classy touch here for this vehicle. For the center console itself, you will have your wireless phone charging pad here to go along with a USB-C and USB-A outlet, 2 cup holders, some gloss black trim. I know what you're thinking there. A lot of you will be complaining about that, but at least Chevrolet didn't just cake that on here for the interior. So this should be easy to clean and maintain. For the center storage compartment, enough room here for some smaller items. Plenty of room for some 17-ounce water bottles if you are going on a hiking trip with some friends or some family. Then you're also going to find another USB-C and USB-A outlet, and there is a tray here for some loose change, another smartphone or wallet. And then to round out the front seating area, above will be that panoramic moonroof, which brings in a lot of natural light to the interior. Now for passengers in the second row, as you can tell, we have the captain's chairs today, which gives you a lot more comfort, makes your passengers feel like VIPs, and these seats recline and move forwards and backwards on rails to maximize legroom and overall comfort. Even better, you have a higher roof line here, so tall passengers will not be hitting their head on the headliner. It gets even better when you take a look at what you have on paper, because for the second row, you're going to have right on 42 inches of legroom, which is better than the Ford Expedition Tremor. So you're going to have a bit more space here to work with. It's going to be a bit more comfortable. Also, by going with the Z71, you have some creature comforts and amenities that do go a long way, especially on a colder day like today. So first off, you are going to have climate control. So 3-zone climate control in this model. Great to see. Also, heated outboard seats. So you're going to be nice and warm here during those winter months. You also have 2 USB-C inputs. Also, a 3-pronged outlet. Now, surprisingly, we don't have sunshades to block out the haters, but you are going to have 2 cup holders found on the center console. And finally, for the third row, you're looking at right on 35 inches of legroom, which unfortunately is not class leading. It is giving up some space here to that Ford Expedition Tremor. The only aspect for the interior that isn't as practical, isn't as spacious. But then again, you have that Suburban to keep in mind with as well if you want to upgrade to a larger vehicle. Now back here, I think there's enough space where you can try squeezing in a third person in the center if they're an average size adult, especially if they're smaller kids too. This could most certainly work. So a lot of flexibility if you have a smaller family and also younger family at that. Currently where these second row seats are placed, I don't feel squished or claustrophobic, so I don't think tall passengers will be sitting back here and complaining about fatigue or back pain or anything else here. Also, when it comes to headroom, a good amount of it as well. So even if you are sitting in the bleachers, it's not too much of a sacrifice. Now you're also going to find a cup holder on both sides of the third row, and there will be a USB-C outlet as well to charge up those smartphones. Then returning to the rear fascia to take a look at the cargo area, as expected with the Z71, you are going to receive a power liftgate. And inside, behind the third row seats, you're looking at right around 25.5 cubic feet of room. This will be slightly better than what you're going to find out of the Ford Expedition Tremor. So if you are going on a road trip with the family, you could probably store, I'd say, 6 or 7 bags of luggage back here. But more importantly, if you do have kids in the third row and you're going on a grocery run, I think you can store all those groceries back here with limited issues. Now, best of all here with the Z71 is that you can lower the third row seats. They're power folding and they lift back up with the press of a button. Really nice. Now, when the third row seats are folded, you're looking at right around 72.5 cubic feet of room. Again, slightly better than that Ford Expedition. So this is something to keep in mind here if you are looking for a well-rounded and practical SUV. And then finally, when you lower the second row seats, you have an overall car capacity of 122 cubic feet of room, which is fantastic. So if you're one of those buyers looking at a Traverse Z71 and you're like, maybe I'm not going to go in that direction, well, the Tahoe Z71 is most certainly worth the upgrade and that price difference. First with that powertrain, but also with that overall practicality. Then when you're comparing this to its closest rivals, it's mostly on par with them, and in some cases a bit better. We've had a lot of experience recently with this 5.3-liter V8 from Chevrolet through the Suburban and Silverado. And to my surprise, I actually really enjoyed both models, even with the 10-speed automatic transmission. As you guys know, I'm not a huge fan of 10 speeds because there's just too many gears there to row through. But Chevrolet makes it work. In this class, it is very competitive, I think somewhat oversaturated, but in Chevrolet's case, they're one of the last manufacturers to offer a V8. But it goes even further than that. You can go with the 6.2. You can go with the Duramax with the Z71. Whereas a Ford Expedition Tremor, you only get a twin-turbo V6. So the question is the Tahoe Z71 a better choice? If you're looking for more of an authentic body-on-frame experience, I think you're going to like the Chevrolet Tahoe. If you're looking for a rugged SUV that is capable with the ground clearance, all-terrain tires, in a way, I like the way the suspension is tuned for the Tahoe over the Expedition. It's softer, it's smoother. It's one of those SUVs where if you're driving on pavement, it's comfortable for weekday commutes. And then if you want to go off-road, you can do that too with the Z71. Just gives this vehicle a lot more versatility than in the past. Now, I will say though, comparing this to a Premier, comparing this to other trims, you really wouldn't notice a difference. I mean, with the all-terrain tires, you barely feel them, whereas with the Expedition, you most certainly do. Now, I will say, though, that when it comes to power output, when it comes to putting your foot down on the pedal, I do think the Expedition is quicker. But with the Tahoe Z71, it's a great all-arounder. It's a family hauler, it's a rugged SUV, and in some ways, it still feels luxurious, too. What I really find impressive, though, in a different way compared to most of its rivals, is the maneuverability, is the handling. It's so smooth, and it most certainly gets out of its own way. Now, if you're someone hopping in from a Traverse, there's not much of a learning curve. And that was the one thing I was really concerned about here with the Tahoe, was that, is this going to be a bit too big? And that is not an issue at all. On these winding back roads, you can have some fun, and best of all, yes, you have the ground clearance, but I find the suspension to be tuned pretty rigid here, where there's not a lot of body roll, relatively speaking. This is not going to be a Camaro or Corvette, but it's still not going to be this large, cumbersome SUV that you'll be fighting in the corners. And it's this maybe lackadaisical, relaxed, comfortable driving experience that has me really excited for this SUV. Best of all, with this 5.3, it doesn't really make a lot of noise, so when you're off throttle, it relaxes, it's quiet, it's calm. And I think that's what a lot of people right now are looking for. That, yes, they want a body-on-frame rugged vehicle with an off-road tuned suspension, but they don't want any of that getting in their way for the weekday commutes, for Monday through Friday. And then that way, when they go on the trails or when they go skiing and snowboarding on Saturday and Sunday, they're going to have that capability. And I think Chevrolet is masking that a lot more here with the Z71 than most rivals in this class. Now, we are going to place it in sport mode, though. Let's see what that does. And the V8 comes to life here, and throttle response gets a bit more aggressive. Now, steering input, it's a bit more firmness here, a bit more weight, exactly what I'm looking for here. Also, you do have paddle shifters to rotate the gears yourself if you so desire. I also love this steering wheel too. It's traditional. With the Expedition, it's a bit more yoke-shaped, which some of you might not like here. Now, also more importantly, for a lot of you looking at hopping into a full body-on-frame SUV for the first time, let's get into overall visibility and seat positioning. Nice panoramic view. A-pillars are very aggressive though. So I do think when you are approaching intersections or red lights, you might have some blind spots here and there, so take it easy. Taking a look at your side mirrors, they are massive. I can see what's in my blind spots, and in the lane next to me also have blind spot detection. And looking out back, nice clear view there. I do have the third row seats up, but the headrests are not up, so I can see what's directly behind me. A lot of visibility. When it comes to seat positioning, you sit very high up here. Nice commanding feel and presence over the roadways. And one metric that I'm really getting into here is the seat comfort, where there's a lot of plushness, there's a lot of support. I'm not feeling any pain or stiffness in my back. Really comfortable here with these leather trimmed seats. When you do encounter the bumps and imperfections on a road, it handles them really well, seamlessly well, to a point where it doesn't translate to the interior. And I feel like out of this suspension, out of this chassis, Chevrolet has a very well-rounded vehicle here where, like I said before, you have the off-road capability, but none of that's going to abuse you or pop up when you are driving to work, when you are taking the kids to school. And that to me means a lot here in this class. And I love the sound of that V8. It's the overall experience out of the Tahoe that I'm really liking here. Also on top of all of this, you have a really good looking SUV. Doesn't draw too much attention. Yes, you have those red tow hooks, but this isn't going to be one of those off-road tuned vehicles that's going to draw so much attention where it looks youthful, it looks maybe way too out there. Chevrolet definitely played it safe and conservative, and you feel it in every aspect of this SUV. So all in all, after this quick test drive with the Z71, I'm actually kind of impressed here, because I was expecting more of a lackluster experience. Because a lot of the rivals now, especially with the more rugged trims, have done a really good job of going all in on that. And I felt that Chevrolet, at least on paper, but then also looking at it from the outside, was playing it way too safe. And yet, I think they did a pretty good job. For an SUV that's always been seen as for some livery service or federal agency, having the Z71 badge gives this SUV a sense of fun and character. And you kind of feel that here without Chevrolet compromising their own values for this SUV. I feel like if you're someone looking for a true body-on-frame SUV, 3 rows, you find that the Traverse Z71 just isn't there for you, spend the extra money, go with the Tahoe Z71 because you are going to be very happy, but it's also going to be an SUV that you can drive on a daily basis and you don't feel the off-road tuned suspension and you don't feel the all-terrain tires. To me, that's pretty impressive. That means a lot, especially for a lot of you looking for a family-friendly vehicle too. So it's one of those SUVs that fits a lot of different places and it fills a lot of holes in this class. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this quick review for the 2026 Chevrolet Tahoe Z71. If you did, please like, comment, share, and subscribe for more. And I will see you guys next time.